Yeah, and fair enough. I mean, that's the thing for me. It's like comic book continuity and even wrestling continuity. A lot of people are very strict about it, and it's like Star Trek being like, another nerdy thing you think would be. But when you look at Star Trek continuity, a lot of it is kind of like, even that Riker episode, they never talk about the, Thomas, I believe is that he started going by, but they never talk about him ever again.
He showed up on one episode of Deep Space Nine.
Oh.
Yes,
did not know.
And he had turned on everybody, and he was working with a terrorist faction.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, well.
Yes.
I guess I missed out on that one.
Now I'm not a big DS9 fan, but that happens to be one of the episodes I did watch.
I remember the premiere of Deep Space Nine, and I watched it. And other than having a crush on, I believe, Dax, I never watched it again.
Well, Terry Farrell was a very beautiful woman, so I mean that's easy to see.
Yeah, I was a kid and I had a huge crush on her, but I was like, nah, I'm not watching the rest of this.
Yeah, and people tell me that when it really got going, that Deep Space Nine is a great series. It didn't hold me.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, because I'm one of these guys. I love original Star Trek, the original TV series, and several years into its run, I began to love Next Generation, but it took a while. And then Enterprise, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, didn't really care for them. Gave them a shot. That was enough. So when you play the numbers out, I wonder if I even technically am still a Star Trek fan. Just if you go by raw numbers alone.
I got a friend who swears by Voyager, swears it's the best show out of any Star Trek anything.
Really?
Yeah. He's a hardcore Voyager dude.
Huh. There must be something. Well, there's something I miss and everything, so I guess I shouldn't be real shocked by that.
I mean, the parts of Voyager that I've seen, it's it does have, because I think as the shows went on, they did start polishing off ideas of storytelling or filmmaking. There were just things that naturally get advanced just from just being around for a while once you start polishing up the formula. So, I mean, the 60s version, well, it's definitely classic. The original series was classic. There are obviously, technology limitations or things that they couldn't do and whatnot. So,
Oh, absolutely. Was it 07 is when they came out with the remastered version of the original series and put new effects and stuff in.
Yeah.
And I have not seen an episode of the unretouched version since then. So 15 years now, right?
Right.
And then I went back and I was watching a clip. I think it might have been from Space Heat or something. Or no, it was Mirror Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I looked it up on YouTube, and the clip was from the original show. And I forget how bad blue screen effects were back then, but the ship was was only 2/3 opaque in every shot back in the day.
Right.
Yeah, because the lights made it kind of bluish, so it just bled right into the optical effect.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Battle of Hoth for original Empire. You can see when they had the POV from the cockpit, you can see through you can see through slightly through some of the window frames and everything like that.
Oh yeah, yes you can. And their composite shooting, yeah.
Yeah. You ever wonder if maybe with Captain Kirk being wildly emotional and only roughly living a sixth of Spock's lifetime, if maybe Spock thinks of Kirk as his dog?
I've often wondered about a few things. Now, so my dad liked Star Trek quite a bit before he was sent off to Vietnam. Oh. But his father wouldn't let him watch it at home, so my dad actually had to go down the street and watch it at a neighbor's house. So when my dad gets home from Vietnam, now his dad has been watching it in syndication and loves it. So first off, my dad's like, oh, sure, I had to walk 2 blocks to watch it, but, you can just sit here, but whatever, But when I was talking to my dad when I was a kid, what he told me one time, he goes, I love that show until every episode became Spock had a new superpower, and that's how they got out of it. Yeah, there comes a point in the original series where I wonder if the whole crew isn't just like Spock's version of sea monkeys. It's not that bad in every episode, but there's enough of them where you're just like, why isn't he just in charge of everything?
But that's kind of my thing. Both the original series and Next Gen, I do feel eventually get into a rut where they become a little formulaic. But Voyager does avoid that. I don't think Voyager is as formulaic as the previous two. Not to say I like Voyager better. I'm just saying I think they at least shake it up a little more.
Yeah. You know what I think? Okay, so Granted, a big part of the appeal for the original series to me was there's a certain element of just TNA that I liked. You know, the chicks back in the 60s were built like girls on mud flaps, you know what I mean? But Voyager, I remember I looked at Voyager as being kind of jaded when I was younger, because when they added 7 of 9, even when they had them dressed in Borg costume, you're like, so you guys are like literally just trying to wave a bikini girl out there to get somebody to watch this show now.
Well, I think they succeeded, though.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely did. I'll give them points, but it just seems so jaded and craven to me. And I was in my 20s, so I was already like in a kind of, I don't know what you would call that. Just like I looked down my nose at everything at that point, you know, just like marketing. Our marketing people are just trying to take your money, you know. And that was the feeling I got from that, you know.
Hey, fair enough. You weren't wrong.
Mm-mm. And that's why when they brought out Enterprise and immediately started off with Jolene Blaylock on the cast, I'm like, oh, okay, so I see what we're doing here. I worked on the last show. Let's try it again. But again, that was also me just being super cynical as well.